I told you 25 years ago that you could bet $1,000 on whether or not the Miami Dolphins would go 25 years without a playoff win, that probably would have returned 10 mil, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you could do that on Kalshi right now or on Polymarket right now and pick any team you want.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Michael Jordan retired at the age of 30 in 1993. He missed the 93-94 season. Furthermore, he came back for 17 games in 1995 when he gave up baseball. And when I mean gave up baseball, he gave up baseball on March 18th and came back to basketball March 19th, which means no ramp up, no training camp, no nothing.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
You ain't buying no tickets.
Who isn't?
You're not going to
Saying
these
if I'm a
games.
fan. Of course I'm not. There's a fan. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but if you were a fan, I thought you were a fan of the Hurricanes. You're not
That guy,
anymore.
they told me.
They
I
smashed
told them
you.
to donate my tickets.
Yeah, so I get it. But the fans travel. They have money, believe it or not. It's
They
amazing.
don't.
Well,
Look,
somebody's
in this
got
economy,
money.
in this economy,
But
they
they have money. I don't know. See what Kalshi says about the economy.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I'm just saying, if I were a good NFL head coach, if I were a hot offensive coordinator, and that coaching cycle's going to come around, and they're like, hey, do you want the Giants job? Or do you want the Michigan job? I think the Michigan job is much better.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome in. It is in-game live game day on a terrific Tuesday evening. Scott Wetzel and Gabriel Morency for the next 2 glorious hours, right up until 10 p.m. Eastern Time, watching, analyzing, and, of course, betting on the world of sports. Great slate of college basketball, decent number of NBA games, I suppose, to get to tonight. Miami O is at it again, so are the Dookie Pukies. One more day, NHL fans, one more day. Is baseball set for 4-hour games? I hope not. In the NBA, well, we got, how about Dallas versus Brooklyn headlining the matchup? No, there are better games than that, but not really too many, believe it or not. So we got the coach, James Young. He'll join us in a little bit, talk a little NBA and college basketball. We got Tom Vecchio. He'll join us next hour. We'll do some NHL and MLB futures. So a lot to get to. First up, it is game time. What's betting you up tonight, Gabe?
Well, first off, you, Scott. The Oklahoma City Thunder are playing the Toronto Raptors right now, but I don't
true.
think you know
That's
the Raptors
true.
are in the NBA, to be honest.
Are
I don't think,
they? Are you sure?
I bet you right now, if I put you on the spot, can you name their 5 starters?
No, good. No, definitely not. I can name
That's
probably
pathetic.
2 or 3, but not 5.
That's pretty pathetic.
Not 5. Yeah.
Well, who can you name?
Barnes. There's one other guy I bet all the time on his props. I'm forgetting his name. Yeah. No, of course not. It's the Toronto Raptors.
I didn't intend on dropping a
That's
bomb
okay.
on Wetzel here.
The first second of the show.
You're basically Booger McFarland. It's commenting on a league that you don't really watch or pay attention to.
Oh, I pay attention to it. I just don't know the starting lineups of every single team of a fourth-place team. No, I don't know the fourth-place team. Get them in first place, and then we're okay.
I don't know if you'd be able to name the Oklahoma City starters either, but that's another story. But what's betting me off? What's betting me off is, you know what? There's so much talk about Darren Peterson and his playing time and how much he's playing. And I was thinking about it last night as they were playing the Houston Cougars, and I'm like, what does he really owe to anybody? Right? Like, unless you're a Kansas Jayhawk fan, like, what does he really owe you? He doesn't owe me anything. Like, he owes Bill Self and the Jayhawks something. But Tariq Skubal with the WBC coming up, deciding to say, you know what, I could pitch one game for you guys, but it's against Great Britain, is pretty much like Darren Peterson saying, yeah, listen, I can play the opening game of the tournament for you guys against Alabama A&M. but I can't do anything after that for you. It's amazing to me that, especially after the Olympics, where everybody is ripping everybody so much for not being all in and all this, that Scooble, for the most part, has gotten pretty much a free pass for kind of like wasting everybody's time and telling them that he's going to be on the team.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm a little surprised they'd actually hold the roster for him, right, at this point. But maybe they just say, you know what, we can't, for one game.
I think
we'd like
their
to hold
thought
it for
is,
one
listen,
game.
it's a one-game lock, and we don't have to use any other pitchers very much, you know what I mean? But the other thing is, too, just for the record, I don't know if we'll get to the picks, but there's a pitch count in the WBC.
Yes, innings count, yeah.
Yeah, like they have to agree to this. You can't throw more than 60 pitches in a qualifying round. You can't throw more than 85, and even in the title game, more than like 90, 95.
Yeah.
So and nobody goes there anyways. Nobody pitches that much. Like, pitchers are willing to pitch for their country and stuff like that, even the guys that show up, but their arms aren't ready to be going 7-8 innings yet, right? It's spring training, man, right? So it's like, yeah, I can give you 3-4 innings, whatnot, and they get out of there. That's what's weird to me about Scooble. What's the freaking difference if you go through spring training with the Detroit Tigers or you pitch a couple innings in this tournament? It makes no sense to me, but whatever, it is what it is. And it kind of, makes the U.S. lineup not quite as sexy anymore, to be honest.
Yeah. And they got like days off you have to have also in between pitchers. It is goofy. It's not just, you're right, go pitch 7 innings and throw 100 pitches. That's not allowed in the stuff. So, all right, opening pickoff time right down your alley. I'm going to go with over 83.5 points Michigan team total tonight. Listen, they're laying 22.5. I don't want to do that. Chances are, if they cover the 22, they're scoring 84 points. If they get to the over 145.5, they're not getting there unless Michigan's scoring 84 points. So you have 3 ways to attack this. I'm going to take the one where they could score 84, still not cover 22.5 points, and maybe still not cover 145.5. But I get to 84 tonight with Michigan. Give me Michigan over the 83.5 points.
That's not my first pick in my rotation because it's an 8:30, but I like the look there. I do agree with that. I don't want to lay the 22.5 with Michigan here either. If you look at Minnesota, yeah, they're not very good, but they don't get blown out. Like, they literally lose by like 9, 10, 12. Like, they don't lose by like 24. But Michigan are always capable of just like going off. So I agree. I think the over is the way to go in this game because I think Michigan probably gets into the mid-80s, into the 90s. And then, hell, all we need is Minnesota to get into the 50s, and it's going to get there. I think 145.5, 146 is too low. So I like your look there. I'll quickly throw it out here. We'll start off with Bradley, Illinois, Chicago. Bradley, Illinois, Chicago. Kind of a DGen special, but it's actually not a bad play here. These two teams played last month. They got to 155 points. All right, it's 142 tonight. Bradley have dropped 70 or more in 8 of their last 10 games. They're in a nice little offensive groove. Illinois, Chicago are really in an offensive groove right now. They've scored 80 or more points in 3 of their last 4 games. Got a total of 142 here. Let's go over 142 with Bradley in Illinois, Chicago.
All right. I like that. I thought about that, but I ended up taking Bradley instead. Same game, obviously, against UIC, plus 3.5. UIC gave Bradley one of its worst losses of the season, or at least in Missouri Valley play. You mentioned it, 85-70 was the score. That was at Bradley. They're 12-6, Bradley is. They're in second place in the Missouri Valley. UIC's in third place. They're only 8-5 at home. And while Bradley's not great on the road, that 8-5 at home mark for UIC tells me that they are beatable. These teams are all separated by a couple of hours drive, whether it's Southern Illinois or Illinois State or Bradley, UIC. So there'll be a lot of Bradley fans there, point being. It's not like a traditional home game. Give me Bradley plus the 3.5. I think it'll be a close game.
All right, I'm going to go with the New Orleans Pelicans, guys. New Orleans Pelicans. Listen, the Golden State Warriors are just a really, really shorthanded basketball team right now. Don't look now, but the Pels have actually won 4 of their last 10 games. So that's 4-6 for them. They're sort of chipping away and getting back to 500. I don't love the fact that Trey Murphy's out, but you got DeJounte Murray back right now. And, it's one of those deals. Once again, I was just busting Scott's balls about the Raptors. The Raptors are never on TV, so I'm not really blaming him per se, but people don't see them so you just sort of whatever. But the Pelicans have the second best record in the NBA at home against the spread. They're 18-12 against the spread on their home court. you would think, the Pelicans are big-time money burners. They're terrible, right? It's like, wow, they're 18-12. Now they're only a 1-point underdog tonight, so they basically need to win this game. But I think they can. I think they will. I think people, the Warriors they beat the Nuggets and stuff. This is a classic sort of, the number is what it is for a reason. I guarantee you there's a lot of average Joe six-packs. Can't believe the Warriors are 1-point favorites against the Pelicans tonight. Give me the Pelicans on their home court.
All right. I'll grab Charlotte laying 7.5 at Chicago. Boy, you talk about a team or teams that are going in opposite direction, right? Charlotte red hot, 8-1 against the spread their last 9. Covered a monster spread the other day, laying double digits at Washington. It was a number that would scare you away, right? Who wants to do that? Same thing tonight. Who wants to lay 7.5 on the road? But this Bulls team is just deader than dead. They've lost 9 straight. They're 1-8 against the spread. They were, I think it was 23-22. They were one game over 500 about midway through the season here, and they have just gone completely the other way. They're showing no interest. Give me Charlotte laying 7.5 on the road.
We're going to go with Southern Mississippi and Arkansas State. I'm in an over mood tonight. It came down, too. It's actually 158.5 right now. But another instance in which we have a conference rematch. These two just played. They got to 179 points. Arkansas State have topped 88 or more in 4 or 5. They've gone over 100 points twice in their last 4 games. Give me the over 158 tonight and a half.
Opening pickup game, and I got one more pick apiece. We'll do that when we come back in Game Live Game Day on the Grid.
So Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hassan,
Yes.
as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 1 with our opening pickup. I got one more for you. Not many games to choose from, but I actually like this. The game's underway. Milwaukee Bucks. How about Cam Thomas over 15.5 points? I don't know how, but somehow or another, this guy's bounced around the league for some reason. All the guy does is score, and yet he can't get off the bench. He's either a jerk, can't play any defense, or I don't know what, but Nets released him. The god-awful Nets released him. He's signed on with Milwaukee. He's played about 5 or 6, 7 games now. And the guy's been a consistent scorer, except for 1 or 2 games. So Give me over 15. They're taking on Miami tonight. They can't spell defense, let alone play it, right? So I don't see how he doesn't get 16 points. He's had 20 plus a number of times, like I said, for Milwaukee. So give me Cam Thomas over 15.5 points. So my recap, I got over 83.5 points. Michigan team total. I'm taking Bradley plus the 3.5 against UIC. I'm going to go with Charlotte laying 7.5 against the Bulls. And then Cam Thomas gave over 15.5 points for the Bucks.
We're going to play Bradley, Illinois, Chicago over 142. Pelicans +1 against the visiting Golden State Warriors. Michigan coming off the loss against the Duke Blue Devils. Michigan laying 20. It's just too many points. Like, they could cover if they really want to, but like I said earlier, Minnesota have been generally scrappy and haven't gotten blown out by that many points. So I decided to go with the over 146. And let's go with Southern Mississippi and Arkansas State over 158.5. I don't know if it's a good sign or bad sign in every college game that I picked. Except the Michigan game. That didn't move. But the other ones came down. I like the overs already at 142.5. It's 142 now. I liked it at 159, although that did open up at 158. It's a lot of points to lay. You need a clean ride. Right, you're betting it over 159. You need a pretty clean ride. Doesn't matter whether it's good teams, bad teams, that are offense. We see it in these Pioneer games, etc. It's not easy to get to 160 in a college game, but as I stated, Arkansas State have really pushed the tempo as of late. Like I said, they've scored 100 more than 102 times in the last 5 games, 88 or more in 4 of the 5. And Southern Mississippi, not quite as much, but like I said, it's like they didn't have a choice the last time they played. They ended up getting 179 points combined, and it wasn't that long ago. It was a couple of weeks ago. So I got a 20-point window here. That's another track meet of a game. I'm going to go over USM, Arkansas State, 158.5.
All right. Our favorite boys are at it again, although I must say it's gotten a little tighter. Miami looking to make it 28-0 tonight, Gabe, at Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan isn't very good. Miami led by 21 at the half, 43-22. Figure they're going to coast the rest of the way, but for whatever reason, they've had struggle scoring here in the second half. They only have 21 points with under 3 minutes left. It's a 7-point game, 64-57. Could they possibly lose to a 10-18 Eastern Michigan team? I doubt it, but they might not cover the 9.5.
They just hit a 3 too. They just hit a 3, so they're up by 10. They're 66-1 on the money line. So if you're thinking, how the hell are Eastern Michigan come back? There's only 2 minutes left. They're down by 10 now. They're plus 1,600 only too on the money line. But very impressive by Miami of Ohio. We got to give them credit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge whether they cover point spreads from here on out. It's not easy. I don't care what conference you're in. I don't care if you're, you know what I mean? You're a Pee-wee hockey team or a Little League baseball team, whatever league you're in. If you're 28-0, you're 28-0. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's one of those. It's impressive. So we got to tip our cap to them. I don't think the bubble is bursting, Scott. I said it all along. I think they're going to get through the regular season. I wish I would have pulled the trigger when they were like 10-1 and all that. When we started talking about it, I didn't. And I missed the value. And then I thought, all right, they're going to get knocked off in their conference tournament. But I don't think they are. I think they're literally going to end up going to the NCAA tournament undefeated. I saw, all those posts, like these gambling people on Twitter that follow bets and stuff. And I really, I like the information, the Ben Fox of the world and Joe Oz, whatever, all those guys that post trends. And I like, I follow them. I like a lot of the stuff they post. But one thing I never care for is, man bets 400K at Caesars. I don't care, Scott.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
I know. Yeah.
So what? So some drunk dude at Caesars, some rich guy? I told a story before. It was the Texas Bowl game. I was at Area, nice casino in Vegas years ago. Texas Longhorns were playing. Guy came in, he bet like $75,000 on the Longhorns cash. He had like big stacks of cash. Everybody was like, oh, look at this. Some guy's a big sharp guy. He was like, no, it was a tourist from Texas. Simple as that. He was a Longhorn fan and has money and he bet the money. So it's like, oh, somebody bet $100,000 on the Athletics or this or that, to win. I'm like, I don't know. But I did see one of those posts today that someone bet like $500,000 or something on Miami, Ohio to win the national championship. And I'm thinking, man, just give the money to some like charity that you like instead. They're not winning. get to the Sweet 16. You want to get cute or something? Okay, but like, really, Scott? I want to get the amount of money. I'll try to find it here, but like, they ain't winning the national championship. I can guarantee you all this. They ain't winning. Put that in freezing cold takes.
I'm surprised they would even. I'm surprised that a place would even take that bet because they're literally still 100 to 1. I haven't checked in a couple of weeks, but last time I checked, they're still 100 to 1. I guarantee you. So you put 500,000
for $5 million. I think the guy got. I think it was like a $5 million like payback.
Yeah.
As you say, the books would be like very vulnerable for it. Who posted this? Let me see. Like I said, I didn't retweet it either. There's so much of this crap, right? But I thought
here's like a memo to people. Here's a memo to people, Gabe. Like there are rich people out there. You know, there are people a lot richer than us that can, $500,000 if that's what it was. Even
it's like Mattress Matt putting $4 million on a game. Who cares? Like it's like, oh, he moved the number. You know what I mean? It's like that happened when he first did it in the World Series. Someone's like, oh, big money action coming in on the Astros and the Dodgers. No, it's this stupid mattress guy. That's what it is.
And all he's doing is hedging his business. He's not even really.
Yeah, he's got some promo with insurance, Scott, that he gives away beds and he bets money on the other side. He's actually genius for figuring it out, like, to be honest.
Yeah.
Give him credit,
for that. Annoying. I do give him credit for that. It's a nice little scam. It really is a nice little, like, wow.
I mean, seriously, give him credit. Eh? Promo my plays. I like sports, and I'll just bet on the other side.
All right, more coming up in Game Live.
So Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hudson, as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carden Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Hour number 1. We got the coach coming up in a couple minutes. Do some college basketball, some NBA talk with him. Tell you, one of the games I did like, Gabe, in college basketball tonight. It's a kind of a situational spot. But I see this come through way more times than not. Texas Tech is hosting Cincinnati today. Line was around 6.5 or so. You can still get in right now because it's not going quite as I was hoping. Texas leading 52-46, so the line is 8.5 now. But I like looking for teams like Cincinnati that are coming off monster wins. Like the last time out, they won at Kansas, right? Teams that are mediocre to bad, when they win a game like that, man, that's the end of the world for them. That is like the champions of all champions. They get a hard time coming back down to earth.
Because look at Duke coming
that's a
off
good
the Michigan win right now. They're up
Yes.
by 30.
Yes.
Right. So it goes both ways.
Going to mediocre teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you
I do like that.
It's 8.5 right now.
Yeah.
Texas Tech are laying 8.5. You know, we talked about Miami, Ohio, another team, and Eastern Michigan are doing their best to try to cover at least. It's 73-62 right now, but it looks like they're running out of time. But a big game tonight was St. Louis in Dayton. Remember, it was a big game a couple of weeks ago when they played. I think it was like that Friday night game, and tickets were like $400 and stuff. And tickets are Billiken tickets are never $400. See, remember we've talked about it a lot this year. St. Louis, they've trailed a lot in these games. Like Miami, Ohio are always ahead, but never really pull away. St. Louis, very dramatic all the time. Now they're down by 13 tonight, Scott. They were like 5.5-point road favorites. You're getting 9.5 now with the Billikens. If you want to jump in, there's 13.5 left, 53-40.
Wow. I would say yes to that, right? I mean, are they really going to get blown out? Dayton's been such an up and down team, and they've been as kind of a little bit of a lull here for about a month or so. Off to a great start to the season, but then they kind of hit a funk there. This would be a huge win for them. Up 13, laying 9.5. I would take St. Louis plus the 9.5. I don't think they're going to necessarily get blown out completely. So, final seconds, by the way, of the Miami O game. It's an 11-point spread. Point spread, depending on when and where you did your shopping. I saw it as low as 8.5. I saw it as high as 9.5. They're up 11 with 8 seconds left. So they're obviously going to win the game. Now it's a matter of will they cover. And that's what most people want to. Eastern Michigan's actually 12-4 their last 16 games against the spread. So they've been a really good against the spread team. So, but 28-0 definitely looms. Dookie Pukey, you mentioned up to 31 now against Notre Dame. I'm an Irish fan, and I go old school. I remember the Adrian Dantley days and the John Shumate days and beating Bill Walton at the buzzer there. I actually remember that stuff as a little kid. I don't understand, Gabe, why the football team, which you need to recruit, 30, 40 good players to have a really, really good football team? In basketball, you need, 3? I mean, literally 2, 3 guys. I mean, I don't understand how the football team can recruit 30 or 40, yet the basketball team can't recruit 2 or 3. They stink.
Money. For whatever reason, Notre Dame alumni do not put any money into the basketball program. You know, they had a great coach too for years in Bray. We did the best that he could, a limited budget considering the situation. But it is a little bit strange that a university as prestigious as Notre Dame that are in the state of Indiana, the basketball state, right? Yeah. That they're like, okay, we can't find like a couple of dudes, you know what I mean? Like how Butler recruits better than they do. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you need a state, like there are so many players in that state. They might not be on the level of, you know what I mean, kids from California, Texas right now, et cetera, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's still a basketball state. There's a million high schools. They take it seriously. There's talent within the state. Hell, there's a million of these schools, Scott. Indiana State, Butler, like we go on and on, right? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Notre Dame, you're right. They just never, like, they just don't, for whatever reason, man. They don't, there's not an outrage enough. They care about their hockey team more. Like, honestly. Yeah. Like Notre Dame hockey is better. Like, they're like, we got a good hockey team. Like, but like, it's bizarro world with the basketball team. Like, it's strange that it doesn't bother them. That's, you know what I mean?
That's why it must not.
It doesn't bother. You ever hear anyone like mad about it? No. You never hear Irish fans, this is ridiculous. Our basketball team sucks. You never hear that. Like, they don't care. Yeah. So, like, no one does anything about it.
Yeah, it's amazing. We'll get the coach's thoughts on maybe he knows why Notre Dame doesn't care or can't recruit either one of the two. Coach Young coming up next.
So Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hazard, as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carden Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, you know, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
Welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 1. So mark it down, 28-0 as Miami does win 74-64. So they do get the cover even. How about that? I didn't see it as high as 10 anywhere. I saw it as high as 9.5, and then it kind of fluctuated between 8.5 and 9.5. So man, they're a great spread team too. Now the game didn't go over. They're a monster over team. But, they're a good spread team, and it's amazing that, they're all close, so that keeps the point spreads down, although they're a 9-point road favorite. That's a pretty hefty number on the road. But they struggle sometimes, Gabe, but they win the games, and more times than not, they even cover the spread. So,
they're finding a way. And listen, we're sort of mocking and saying, they're not going to win the title, but I wouldn't dismiss them if they can make it to the Sweet 16 and maybe, even go on a little run here. I would think, all right, maybe they get out of the first weekend at best type of thing. But why ruin the story until we get there, right? Let them enjoy it along the way. I wanted to get to this number.
Who was the team that Kentucky played that Calipari ripped the committee because they were undefeated? And then they stuck them facing Kentucky in the first round or the second round, and Calipari's like, what are you idiots doing? This is a great team. It's a great story. You're going to make us play us. You remember that story from maybe 10 years ago? I forget who it was. They were undefeated in regular season. No, they didn't.
Didn't Kentucky lose to like Fairleigh Dickinson a couple of years ago?
Oh, yeah, they did, but that wasn't that year. It wasn't. No, this was an undefeated, was it not Creighton? It was like a semi-notable team. It wasn't like too far off the radar, but they were undefeated. And I bring it up only because I think the story now, will they get in? I think that's done. They're getting in. The question is, if they run the table, what seed would they get?
That's a good point. I'll tell you what. It's not so much the seed, but like, who are they going to make them play? And that's how you're going to know the committee. It's a good point what you're saying. Like, you're going to make
it like...
That's
with Calipari. Yeah, I remember that with Calipari.
Saturday. Good for you.
Yeah.
They're going to make it like one of these. But they're gonna put a big-time team in a tough spot, Scott, right? You're having a Miami, Ohio team, potentially like 36-0 or whatnot, taking on, one of these. Because even if they're undefeated, bro, like there's a limit to what kind of seed they're going to get. Let's be real.
Right.
I mean, I'm seeing them now as a 9 and a 10. To put it in context, you went over the conference power rankings, bro. Like it doesn't stack up. I was surprised when I saw that.
Yeah,
like, I was surprised.
I hope they don't get the 8-9. For me, as long as you don't give them an 8-9, you're giving them a fair shot. Because 8-9, you win that when you face number 1.
I don't think they're going to give them a 7, bro.
I don't think you get a 7 either. I think 10 or 11 is more like it.
10. Yeah. You know what? You're right though. The 8-9, there's a lot of good teams. They're not going to that's what I'm saying. They're not going to be able to escape like a superpower really early into this thing.
Right.
They're going to have to play a good team in the first game and then a really good team in the second game. But I want to get to this number. I don't want to say it's the highest ever because, I was thinking back to the Hank Gather days. But when Hank Gathers played, may he rest in peace, not everybody had college props, right? But there were. I do remember. Oh, really? 30 points, huh? Because Bleacher Report is wondering, and I don't know. We'll see if we can find out here. I'll start to poke around a little bit more. 30.5 tonight for the kid on BYU.
Dibansa?
Wow. Yeah, Dibansa. 30.5 points tonight, his prop.
Wow.
Highest in recent memory, right? I can't really think
for
of
college.
Yeah. There was a kid on Oakland or whatever, the Oakland Grizzlies, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the Grizz.
Scored. Yeah, you remember what I'm talking about? Yeah, there was a kid. They were scoring 106 a game or something stupid. And there was a kid on their team that was dropping 30 a game type thing. But there wasn't always prop for him. There was once in a while, you know what I mean? There's not always prop for college. I don't want to say this is the highest ever, but this is pretty damn high, Scott. 31 points. Yeah. You and I talk what's Luka prop? 30.5. We're like, God damn, it's pretty high. Yeah, 31. It's a 40-minute game, man. 40-minute game. You got to get to 31 points. UCF don't suck either. I guess the books are thinking a track meet, right? They're like, all right, there's going to be points. UCF are going to run with them, but we'll see what the coach thinks. Like I said, Hank Gathers used to have 35 points and 20 rebounds in a game and stuff like that. But for a modern era, this reminds me of Ashton Genty. I remember 2 years ago, Ashton Genty, we were talking about that he was minus 2,200, Scott, to score a touchdown. I was like, it wasn't minus 220. I was like, dude, you can't even put that in a parlay. Minus 2,200. It was you have to bet, will he score 3 or more touchdowns type thing. 30.5, coach, for AJ Santa tonight. That's a lot of points, bro. And he doesn't get there that often. This is a lot of points for him tonight.
Well, guys, you got to remember that Richie Saunders is now out for the year with a torn ACL. That's almost 18 points a game gone. So when you look at my Dibanza, it's either
that
him or
mean
Robert
the other
Wright
team are gonna badger him now more, and he's gonna get even more coverage.
It could be, Gabe. But if you really think about it, I think there's a case to be made. And I was one of those people think, well, it depends who wins the draft. Guys, forget it. After his performance against Iowa State, AJ Dibanza is the #1 pick in the NBA draft. And the fact that you can get AJ Dibanza to be the #1 pick in the NBA draft.
You've come around. Dude, I remember a couple of weeks ago, you were Team Peterson.
I was. I wasn't so much was Team Peterson. I was team whoever won the draft. But the draft, how much he loves the game, the injury concerns, and the way Dibanza is taking over the Big 12, arguably the best league in regards to being defended at, dealing with Arizona, dealing with Houston, dealing with Iowa State. I'm all in on Dibanza being the #1 pick.
I got the odds right here, guys, just for the record. It's nearly a toss-up now. Yeah, Peterson's minus 125. AJ's plus 130. Boozer's plus 750. Caleb Wilson's 100-1. So it's basically a 3-man race right now for the top here.
Now, is that, Coach, in your eyes because Dibance's doing so well, or is it the Peterson stuff off the field, playing, not playing, headache, cold, and all that other mumbo-jumbo?
Yes. To both.
Okay.
But it's the NBA, Coach and Scott. It's the NBA. They load manage. What's different? Yeah, you know what I mean? I saw Jay Billis. I know you respect Billis, Coach. I saw Billis yesterday say, listen, Peterson could shut it down, not play for the rest of the year, and be the #1 pick in the draft. Guys, he's almost making it worse for himself by what he's doing. But I really believe, like I said, it's debatable. I guess it's who you like and stuff, but it's a toss-up with the book right now if you want to get value on it.
Yeah, listen, I'll say 2 words that's going to scare everybody. Ben Simmons.
Well, I was going to say
No
Kawhi
questions about how much he loved
I
the
was saying
game.
Embiid. I was
He
going to say
reminds me
Embiid,
of
but
Kawhi
Ben
Leonard.
Simmons takes the cake. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
Ben
but
Simmons
Kawhi
never
Leonard,
plays.
Kawhi Leonard was 6'7" and could shut you down, and he wasn't even a tough. I mean, what was Kawhi Leonard? He was like a mid-team pick. This is talking about the number 1 pick we're going on here. And so to me, when you look at Dibanza, I mean, look at the teams that are going to be in the top of the draft. Indiana, well, he could play the small forward next to Siakam. The Nets, well, they all stink, so he could play over all of them. Washington, he'll play the small forward position next to AD and Sar. I mean, the only place that you can think about, well, you may not, as if it's Dallas. And if Dallas has Cooper Flag, you know what, guys? You can kind of figure it out. Just put the 2 of them next to him and go play basketball.
Yeah.
Peterson and Cooper Flag would be pretty nice too.
Scary.
Yeah.
That's kind of like when the Magic won the lottery and they got Shaq, and then they won the lottery next year and they took Chris Webber and traded for Penny Hardaway. Not fair.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what changed it. That was the last year that it was just if you make the playoffs or you don't, and if you don't, then boom, you get the same odds as the last place team. It was that draft. We'll get some picks from the coach on the other side when we come back to Game Live.
So Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hudson, as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carden Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, you know, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 1, talking to the coach. I do want to bring up one game before we get to the games that have yet to start, Coach. Give me your reaction on Houston losing again. And I bring it up just because I found a little note here that's like, that's interesting. One about the Dookie Pukies playing in Washington, D.C., which I'll get to a little bit later on. But you know, the third and fourth round game of the NCAA tournament is in Houston. So you're basically, if you're not going to put Houston in your Final Four, you're saying they're going to lose at home. And even though they lost the other night, I think this is the best time to bet on them because I don't know if the odds will be any better than what they are right now. I don't see that team losing at home, but who knows? Now they lost 3 in a row for the first time in a gazillion years. Are we writing off Houston?
Well, listen, they got things they have to address. I think when you look at the way Kelvin Sampson plays, it's funny, Scotty. Earlier in the year, it was all the talk about can Chris Sinek and Kingston Flemings, their 2 stud freshmen, play defense at a high Division I level. Well, they're not the problem. It's Joseph Tugler who finds himself in the Chris Dudley rule of fouling, which is too much, too quick. And this is the defending Big 12 defender of Division Player of the Year. He's got to defend better.
Kansas
because
won
guys,
a bonus with like 12 minutes left.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing, Gabe. You take away Miller off the bench. Kelvin Sampson feels comfortable with none of them. That's the problem you get
They
with
look
with
tired,
Houston.
Coach, though. Chase last night, too. They just seem worn out. The Kingston kids worn out. Like, they just look tired.
It's the wars of the Big 12 are starting to add up. But here's the thing. Let's be honest.
Kansas' defense is good, though. Sorry, let me just throw it on it. We all talk about Peterson and this. Like, they're good. The Kansas Jayhawks play defense. Those guys are good.
I think guys like White and Badunga and Council, I don't think they get the respect that they deserve. But let's be honest. If Houston closes on a good enough, it doesn't close terribly against Iowa State, what was it, 17-6-1 run to end the game? They're back-to-back losses to Arizona and, obviously Kansas, you wouldn't be going crazy about. But to me, it's the defense was a struggle. Now the defense has been better. Now the offense. Tucker's got to stay out of foul trouble. And let's be honest, Miles Uzon and Emmanuel Sharp have been kind of meh offensively this year shooting the ball.
I got to bring something up because it's a little topic, especially in Los Angeles. And well, I brought this up. No one listened to me, though, what I said at the time about the trade. I'm like, you know what? It's not crazy to trade Luka if you're Dallas. It was crazy to get what they got back for him, but I don't think it was crazy. And now suddenly the Lakers and the Laker fans realize what they have with Luka. They have a whiny player that doesn't play defense, that puts up numbers that no one really wants to play with, that's extremely hard to coach, that's stubborn as hell. And the low point with the other night was against the Celtics, guys. He didn't even get touched. So he went up for a 3. He pretends he gets fouled. He goes down, and then he just lies on the court and bitches at the ref while lying on the court while the Celtics score. Didn't go over well in L.A., and they're already kind of scratching their head thinking, maybe this guy really isn't like some sort of face of the franchise type thing, Coach. Great player. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but he's a stat pattern, bro. He's a stat pattern. Let's just call it out for what it is. You can't win with this guy.
I'll tell you what, Morency, you put that on the tee beautifully. That's why I like Jalen Suggs over 5.5 assists tonight for the Orlando Magic. I think this game gets up and down.
I love my man Desmond Bain to go off tonight, Coach, because they ain't stopping him, but go on.
Over some of his last 8 games. Listen, the Lakers have given up, ready for this, folks, a 92% hit rate to point guards in the last 10 games. Starters or reserves. Give me Jalen Suggs over 5.5 points. I think this game's going to have a lot of points in it tonight.
All right. Let me throw one more at you before we get to all your picks. I watched a lot of that Detroit game last night with San Antonio. It's not like I haven't watched San Antonio before, Coach, but this is now a really good team at home, wanting to make a real signature win, the Detroit Pistons, right? I'm telling you, I don't know who's going to beat that Spurs team. My question to you is, could Chet Holmgren of OKC limit Victor Wembanyama or the Joker for Denver? Because if it's not one of those two teams, the dude is unstoppable. He's 7'4", and they run the off. Just throw the ball. He doesn't have to jump. We know it. I mean, there's no one in the NBA that can guard him. I'm looking for a big-time player that maybe could Holmgren from OKC or the Joker, limit Wembanyama come playoff time?
He loves to go against Chet Holmgren because he just dominates him. Now, the Joker, because of what he can give him on the other side, could be where you can be concerned. It's more about the totality of the team. But I want to take a second to address Detroit, because Detroit has now looked like they have tried to do the Larry Brown 2004 Pistons, the bad boys of Chuck Daly, where they want to rough games up and make it tough. You know what Detroit reminds me of? My favorite boxer of all time. That's Mike Tyson. And you know what happened at one point? Buster Douglas punched him in the face and said, he ain't that bad after all. And Mike Tyson got knocked out. Detroit needs to be careful because their tactics are going to wear thin on the NBA. And if you think the stuff they did to Victor Wembanyama, they're going to allow in the playoffs to Brunson or to Donovan Mitchell, or if Tatum comes back, you think the NBA and Adam Silver and their weightings are going to allow that kind of roughhouse to take place? Watch your back. Detroit's really good. But at the end of the day, the physical stuff is not going to be a thing. I'll tell you this one more thing. I still am not convinced of JB Bickerstaff in the playoffs.
And Scott, that's the thing with Wembanyama. If you'll notice, Caruso said it after with Oklahoma City. He said the only way to deal with this kid is you got to get physical on him. But Detroit didn't realize that doesn't mean like pushing them to the ground and shoving them into the crowd and stuff like that, like last night. Wemby doesn't get fazed by that. He gets up and he's sort of like, he's like, all right, I'm just going to dunk on your ass, right? Wemby gets a little bit bigger in a couple of years, then he's really just going to be like unstoppable.
Yeah.
For
Tell you, now I'm going to have to wonder right now.
He's still bigger, go home. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I'm going to have to wonder right now. Those odds are only going to come down. I'm telling you. And that's still not a bad little bet. So, Coach, hold on the line if you can. We'll bring you back. Then we'll let you go real quick. We appreciate that. You can get it live game day on the grid.
So Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hassan, as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carden Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, you know, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
All right, welcome back. It is in-game live game day here on the grid. Scott and Dave talking to the coach, Mr. James Young, our college basketball NBA analyst here. So all the yapping back and forth there, Coach. We always enjoy having you on. So I didn't get you a chance to lay out your picks. So I know you got a couple of plays that the games have yet to begin. So fire away.
Yeah, Scotty, let's talk about my favorite plays. Number one, the Celtics -6.5. Your Boston Celtics at Phoenix. The line's moving around. Celtics 3-0 against spread. Suns are 1-5-1 against spread the last 7 games. Celtics have won and covered the last 4 matches versus Phoenix. And Phoenix team without Devin Booker, Obviously, Dylan Brooks, Highsmith just signed and Cole Anthony. So you have 4 of your best, or at least 3 of your best playmaking guards there. Grayson Allen is not enough. Give me the Celtics -6.5, and now it's moved down to 5, so it's even better than lines. Then earlier I took the Timberwolves -6.5 versus Portland. Portland and the both teams are 2-2 against the last 4 games, but the Timberwolves guys just won by 24 points 2 weeks ago. No Shaedon Sharpe, no Denny Avdija. Who is going to score for them? So I'm going to go ahead and
Avdija never plays, Coach. I'm sick of this dude, to be honest. Like, no one talks about him because whenever he's on the Blazers. So what's this guy's deal? He never plays, Coach. He seriously never plays.
And it's interesting because it was a good acquisition for them getting him from Washington. But
he's talented when he plays, man. But he doesn't play ever.
But I feel like in the future they got to make a choice. It's either Avdija or it's Jeremy Grant. The problem is Jeremy Grant may have one of the worst contracts in the NBA. But somebody will take a chance on the Jeremy Grant, a guy that's a good 3-point shooter from the corner, good defender, decent rebounder. Portland's got some interesting decisions to make, including Scoot Henderson versus Shaedon Sharpe. They may have some decisions to make in the future.
How about Miami and Florida State college basketball? Got to play on that one?
Yeah, I like Miami on the money line. Listen, rivalry is right, Gabe. And if you really peel back and look at it, Miami's got the advantage, according to Ken Palm, on offensive and defensive efficiency. I think that's something that's pretty important. Listen, at the end of the day, 2 things that Miami do way better than Florida State. Ready? Get to the free throw line and rebound. Those 2 things carry on the road. That also being said, Florida State won the first matchup. That's why I'm going the other way.
Coach, those 2 reasons why I like Auburn tonight against Oklahoma. Auburn are one of the best teams at hitting 2-point shots in the paint. Oklahoma don't rebound well. They give up a lot of free throws. Just sort of, we want to get into the metrics of it. I like Auburn tonight at Oklahoma.
And they have to turn it around because they've hit the
they're on the bubble
bit.
for real.
They're on the bubble for real. Right. And I don't know how many years they're going to take 11 teams or 13 or 19 or 48 or 72, however many teams are taking the Big 12. I mean, the SEC, they seem to take all of them, but they got to get going a little bit.
Whatever it was, yeah.
Hey, guys, really quick, because I'm not going to be on with you tomorrow. Tomorrow is one of the biggest games in the East Coast all year, and that's St. John's versus UConn. St. John's, guys, oh boy, they're playing well. Patino's going to his bench. I watched UConn over the weekend kind of get their mojo back versus Villanova. That is a sneaky big game. If St. John's wins and sweeps UConn, that team can move everywhere from a 4 line all the way to a 2 line because they're playing as well as anybody in the country. Look what they did to Creighton over the weekend.
Who do you like?
I like St. John's. I think Patino's got this team playing the way we thought earlier this season. They're defending well. He's going to his bench and he's wearing teams out. I don't care what they have in the front line.
On the road,
including with
4.5.
Even with Tyrus Reed,
you know what, though, guys?
Ejiofor is playing like a man possessed.
That's not at Stores either. That's in
Hartford.
Hartford
Game?
That's a Hartford game.
Yeah.
So there'll be just as many St. John's fans there as UConn fans.
And I'll tell you this, and it's a sneaky big week because St. John's ends the weekend Saturday, 8 p.m. home, Nova. Folks, Patino's got this team playing well. They're going to be extremely dangerous in the tournament. Only problem is, still concerned with their shooting a little bit from the perimeter.
Yes, Scott. St. John's fans don't travel to the Garden. They ain't going to Hartford.
Man, it's right up the street, Hartford. You know, you lived here. That's I like betting against that.
North.
I know.
The old days, you hitchhike, you get to ride to Hartford. You know? You won't come back, but you'll get there. All right.
Yeah, Connecticut's considered to New York to a lot of people. It's true. I know. I get it. Like in Hartford, I know what you mean. But I think the Nova spot's better for him. Personally, I'm just throwing it out there.
Coach, great job, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us. I do appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
So Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hassan, as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, you know, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
And welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the grid. Hour number 2. Thanks to the coach. We got Tom Vecchio joining us in about a half hour. We'll do some MLB and NHL futures with him. But first up, it is late night pickoff time. We had our opening pickoff. We start hour number 2 with our late pickoff. I'm not exactly sure why I put these in order that I did. Sorry about that, producers. But I'll start with college basketball. I'm going to grab the under. A big trend night here. Under 142.5 or so. Iowa State at Utah. Here's the trend. Iowa State 12-1 under their last 13 road games, and they're coming off a bad loss at BYU, which means we're going to get their A game tonight, and if we get their A game, that means defense with Iowa State. Some teams it means offense, some teams it means defense. Give me the under game, 142.5, Iowa State, Utah. I figure they win in the 75-60 type of range.
I'm going to start off college basketball. I just brought up this game with the coach. The Auburn Tigers. Auburn literally are on the bubble for real. Like at this rate, they got to win a bunch of games, and they could end up as one of those sort of big power teams in a Dayton game. They've got work to do, and this is a definite winnable game tonight against an Oklahoma Sooner team that's 2-8 straight up in their last 10 games, and they don't shoot the ball well. Like they bomb a bunch of threes, but they don't shoot the ball very well. They don't play defense. They don't rebound. They don't defend. Like if Auburn don't win this game, they don't belong like in any tournament, let alone the NCAA tournament. Give me the Auburn Tigers, and it pretty much must win. And I hate that, they need the game, but it's not so much they need the game. I just think Oklahoma are just kind of like packed up and done for the year. Give me the Auburn Tigers minus 130 on the money line.
All right, I'll flip over to NBA. That's what I mean. I'm going back and forth here. I'm going to grab the under 209.5 Boston Phoenix. That for an NBA game, that is a super low number, right? They're begging to take the over, but be careful, folks. You know, Celtics are on a monster 10-2 under run, and they're playing well. So when you have one with the other, it's not just a fluky little thing. They're getting blown out. Maybe they'll play better. No, they're 8-1 their last 9 games. They're covering the number. Held the Lakers to under 100 points the other night. Like I said, 10-2 under. And then everybody is hurt for Phoenix. They're just a mess right now. They've lost 5 of their last 7, albeit dating back to the before the All-Star break. But the injuries have really just riddled this team. So give me the under. Hold your nose. Under 209.5 Boston Phoenix.
We'll go with Tennessee and Missouri over 144, 144 and a half, depending on what it is right now, depending on your book. But Tennessee are not thought of as a higher scoring team, but if you actually watch them play, they get into the mid 70s pretty routinely. Like they're better on offense than the perception is. They're actually 15-12 to the over on the season. They're doing their thing. They're 20-7. They'll be dangerous in the tournament and get bounced. Right, it's sort of like rinse and repeat. But the Missouri Tigers are a good team as well. They're coming off a track meet loss to Arkansas. At Arkansas, not an easy place to play. They got up to 170 points in this game. Mizzou want to run. All right, Mizzou want to push the pace, and I think Tennessee will gladly do it with them. It's a manageable number at 144. Let's go Volunteers, Missouri, over 144.
All right. This is another hold your nose one. College basketball. San Jose State at Air Force. And I tell you, I really, really tried to pull the trigger on San Jose State. They're laying only 6.5. We told you the numbers with Air Force. They are just absolutely atrocious. They've lost 20 straight games, nearly all those against the spread as well. But San Jose State is 1-9 their last 10. I can't be laying a touchdown basically with them on the road. So where are we going to go? Let's go over. It's 145.5. First off, San Jose State 6-1 over. Air Force 11-1 over, including 8-0 their last 8 games. Now, a lot of those are because of blowouts. I'll grant you that, and they probably won't get blown out by San Jose State tonight, but I got a strong over on the left and a strong over on the right, and I got a modest number in the middle, 145.5. Let's hopefully we get to 146 points over San Jose State Air Force.
We're going to pull the trigger. And for the record, Texas Tech just went final. Texas Tech 80, Cincinnati 68 final score. 80-68, nice. Texas Tech wins. But NBA props. So we talked about this game earlier with the Lakers and the Orlando Magic. For those of you not paying attention, Desmond Bane is just absolute straight fire right now. He scored 70 points in his last 2 games, 36 and 34, but his prop tonight is 20.5. The Lakers are a terrible defensive team, as we talked about earlier, but it's 20.5 tonight. He has scored 22 or more in 6 of 7, and the one game that he didn't, he scored 17 points. It's because they won by 38 against the Sacramento Kings. So they absolutely murdered the Sacramento Kings, and he didn't have to score. He didn't play as much, so he only scored 17 points. This will be a competitive game with the Lakers tonight. Love Desmond Bane over 20.5 points. There's a couple of arenas in the league when players want to step up and put numbers up. This is one of them, and the Laker players don't do anything to stop anybody from doing it. So let's go over the number with Desmond Bane tonight.
All right, I got one more college basketball. It's going to be an over 146.5. Wyoming at Boise State. Really wanted to pull the trigger on Boise State, but the Wyoming just didn't fall into that category. It came close. They're coming off the game, a road win at Grand Canyon. They were about a 7-point underdog. That's a good win for them. It's not quite like Cincinnati and Kansas, though, and I kind of got spoiled. I said, I don't want to do that, even though I like Boise State. I wish that number was a little bit closer to like 3.5, 4.5, maybe even 5.5. So I'm settling in on the over because Boise State's on a nice little 11-1 overrun, folks. I think they're going to put 80 on the board. As long as Wyoming doesn't lay a complete egg, this will get to 147. I'm thinking 85, 65, something along those lines.
You're a big numbers guy and trends guy. This is an interesting one with a player prop that nobody ever plays or talks about. But Jake LaRavia of the Lakers, his prop is 4.5 points. He's got under in 2 straight games. He had 4 points and 3 points in the last 2 games. He hasn't had 3 games all year in a row where he hasn't had at least 5 points. And you're like, wow, that's a weird stat, but how about this? He's actually had 5 points or more in 42 of 56 games this year. Wow. Yeah. You bet on this, dude, like this number. Yeah, that's 42. Like, seriously. Now, the thing is, it wasn't always 4.5, right? There's been nights where he's been 8.5 and other guys are out and it's 9.5. But, like, for the record, though, if you use the barometer of what it is tonight at 4.5, he's played 56 games. He's had 5 or more points in 42 of the 56. Give me over 4.5 tonight.
All right. Hopefully your book has him. So sometimes when the number's that low, they don't list that, but that's not bad. So, all right, a lot of good games tonight. This is a great night of just staying up late at night and watching
Arizona,
some of the late
Baylor
games.
just tipped off. They're on TV right now too. That's a big time.
Yeah.
Well, at least Arizona. Baylor's struggling this year, but 7-5 early in that game.
A lot of good 9 o'clock games. Like I expected a bunch to be later, but in the Colorado State where they could easily start at like 10 o'clock or the TCUs or whatever, which would be 8 o'clock the local times in some of these places. You actually got some halfway decent 7 o'clock starts or 9 o'clock starts here. So
one thing too. Speaking of games too, like you said, enough fun college card here tonight. Listen, Orlando haven't been as good as people wanted them to be. A lot of people thought Orlando would be like Detroit this year or something. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, Orlando or some sort of trendy team, come out of the East. But they're not terrible, right? They're in a little bit of a groove right now. They're starting to win. It's sort of back and forth, but they're winning more than they're losing now. And do you really want to lay 6 with the Lakers? Like the thought process is like, the Lakers are mad. They got called out. Redick's getting like really frustrated. Talk radio in LA isn't as negative as the East Coast is, but even they're starting to rip Luka and get really upset, and they're the worst 34-23 team ever and all this type of stuff. But I don't think they're that gutsy. I don't think they suck, but I think it's a close game tonight. I gotta go with Orlando.
All right, more coming up in Game Live here on the Grid.
So Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hassan, as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. Couple little quickies here. One, every once in a while you say, boy, you wonder why this is happening, right? And it's like, okay, you accept it for whatever. That happened last week when Michigan was taking on the Dookie Pukies, right, Gabe? You and I talked about it, and I talked about it on the podcast, and I'm sure you did on your podcast as well. Why are they playing the game in Washington, D.C.? Like, why not in Michigan? Why not in North Carolina? If you want to have it a neutral site, why not at the Meadowlands or Madison Square Garden where Duke plays all the time, or even in Charlotte, right? Washington, D.C., right? So then I looked at it, do a little research, and I love finding these little things. I get a kick out. I really do. I must be just getting old. You know where the third and fourth round games are on the East Coast this year? I'll give you one guess. Washington, D.C. At the same arena where they played. Yeah. I mean, that is like huge. You know Duke's going to get that region, right? As they should. They should stay on the East Coast. I don't, have any gripes about that. But them going to the same arena, they know the background. They've been there. They know the hotel. They know the whole kit and caboodle. It's like, oh, that's why they play. They bend over backwards all the freaking time to help this Duke team. They don't need it. They're good enough to win a championship on their own game.
For the record, Michigan did win the Big Ten title once in Washington, D.C. I'm just going to throw that out there for a little synergy.
Yeah.
They did. I don't know if you remember the year.
Giving away a good rant.
Yeah, I know. I was going to throw it out there randomly. Michigan did win there once. But it's a weird spot. Long times, though, right? You have these committees and they bid and, right? I mean, there's a million different reasons for this. I thought you were going with a thing, too, but ESPN doesn't do the NCAA tournament, right? But like the Super Bowl will do that. They'll do that like where the Super Bowl is. They'll do a preseason game there all the time.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like the network with like way in advance before the year starts. Let's check out the stadium. We're going to do a game with our A crew here. Last preseason game will often be. So the Super Bowl's in LA next year. You'll see in the preseason, there'll be a big preseason game at SoFi where like the big crew will show up and everything. Just a sort of little get your feet wet type thing for this. Like they like to sort of, plan ahead for that often. I remember Jim Nantz was talking about that a couple of years ago, but I don't disagree, Scott. It drives me crazy all the time. Like, dude, Duke always in a tournament. Like, all right, they're playing in Greensboro. It's like, they're never. It's never like, all right, Duke's in LA. Duke's in Seattle. You know what I mean? Like, no. We're taking you. We're making you go like thousands of miles. No. They always take other teams and have a reason. Well, why this and that. We know if the rules are set up the way that they are. I can't cry as a Michigan fan. It's not like I can say. And honestly, I can't bitch. The NCAA does hate us, actually, as you saw with the Harbaugh stuff and the stupid, their relentless attack. But I'm not going to bitch about it. It is what it is. And I saw it, you saw it too, ESPN, like the ratings are great and stuff. And they're like, oh, we want more of these non-conference late season games. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you do. Good for you. Like, what do you get out of this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not even a Big Ten game. Like, if you're Michigan, what do you get out of this? You get a loss and just sort of a what? And if you win, so what? Like, there's really nothing to gain. You can say, oh, it makes you battle-tested, Scott, for the tournament. You're already battle-tested playing in these conferences.
The conference tournament will battle-test you. You don't need to be tested that
TV.
often.
You're just making these kids play for TV for their own profit. Let's call it out for what it is.
Yeah. And here's the other thing they love to do, and we get closer to the tournament, we'll spend a lot more time on it. Here's the other thing that I know they love to do with Duke. Used to be they just give them the easiest bracket. Then people got wise to that, and then they put a bunch of good teams in their bracket, but then they would put all those good teams, Gabe, on the other side of the bracket. So you would rattle up, oh, they got to play Houston, they got to play Texas, they got to play Oklahoma. Yeah, but they're not playing all of them. They're all on the other side. They're only going to play one of those guys.
You're really,
so that,
you're really
they're in their bracket.
You're really convinced.
Yeah. I know all the tricks.
And
I know all the tricks to the trade.
You're like deeper into it than I am, even. Like they're sitting there at the committee board thinking we need Duke to win. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're bothered by Duke winning, but I don't know. Like, I mean, Duke. Listen, this goes back to, and it drove me crazy then. It drives me crazy now. Like when people don't like Taylor Swift singing in like in the suite at an NFL game. Dude, years ago we didn't know what Dan Marino. I don't know what Jim Kelly's girlfriend looked like, and I didn't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was one of those, who's his wife? I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know. She's sitting in the stands with the other wives. Like, there's the players' wives, like baseball, whatever. Like, it all started with Coach Krzyzewski's wife, bro. All started in the NCAA. all started. And there's Linda stressing out. And it's like, dude, like, you show on whatever. You never show, like, you never show Kelvin Sampson's wife stressing out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, it used to drive me crazy, Scott. I was like, why is she the only wife that's important to you guys? Oh, and Coach K and Jim Nantz. And there's Linda. I think it was Linda. There's Linda Krzyzewski. And like, oh, she's into the game. It's like, yeah, because she's the only one into the game, Jim.
Yeah.
No
She's
one's
the only
other
one.
coaches' wives or family cares.
Yeah.
Just Coach K. You know what I mean? That started with Cowher's wife during the game, NFL games. Bill Cowher's wife. And now it's just, there's no turning back. But I blame Coach K for that.
Here's the other one real quick. We brought it up with the coach, but it's true. You know, Houston, it's only 2-1. You don't get great odds for a team to reach the Final Four, but they are the 6th choice on the list here on FanDuel, plus 210. But knowing that the second round, like I think they're good enough to get through the first round. They'll probably be in Oklahoma, which isn't that far from Houston anyway. But then the next set of games are in Houston. So Houston's going to have home games, in essence, going to the Final Four. So if they're not going to get to the Final Four this year, Gabe, someone's going to have to beat them basically on their home court.
That's another thing, too, with the NCAA tournament. It is sort of Southern biased and the ACC, in a sense, just due to the venue, Scott. How many times the NCAA tournament in Madison Square Garden? You know what I mean? Or Detroit, put it in Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? It's always oh, yeah, it's in Atlanta, it's in Texas, like
Charlotte. Yeah.
Like,
look at the lines when we come back.
It's in Newark, it's in the production.
So Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hudson, as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, you know, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe checking out a little NBA, little NCAA with the NHL returning tomorrow. We got the Tom Vecchio coming up in about 5 minutes. We'll do some hockey futures with him, some baseball talk as well. Pretty good betting opportunity right now, folks. Midway through the first half, 9 minutes in, really no big deal, right? Baylor does lead number 2 Arizona, Gabe, 21-14. So Arizona's dropped to not quite pick them, -2.5 though. I don't know if we're going to get a better number on Arizona than what we're seeing right now. I mean, ultimately, I view that as just win the game. Is Arizona really going to lose? I would take a flyer on Arizona -2.5 right now.
Yeah, or you can get it, -155 on the money line. I don't disagree. It's going to be a tough spot for them. Kids on Baylor are fired up, national television, big game on national TV and all that. But Arizona will eventually start to wear them down as the game goes on. We brought it up earlier, and I didn't have the courage to do it. And this is like sometimes where you got to bet against your own team. I brought it up with Michigan. 22 is just too many points. Minnesota don't get blown out by that many points, right? And our total is in big trouble. This game is extremely low scoring. It's 30-26 going into the half pretty much. There's like 10 seconds left or whatnot. Michigan just scored. So 32-26. They got a 6-point lead. In-game total, 133.5. That's the problem with Michigan. The numbers, I don't know, like, why, Scott, are they 22-point favorites? Like, nobody else is ever. You know what I mean? They'll be 15.5, 14.5. They're just overpriced. And then there's sort of a negativity about them because, they didn't win by as many points, or they're not blowing a team out as like people think. But the Big Ten's not easy. Look, Minnesota just scored. So we're up to 136.5 here. Maybe, you know what I mean?
That's too bad.
146, like a little bit of a spark. Michigan, Scott, are capable of dropping like 24 points in 6 minutes or something, 4 minutes. You know what I mean? But Minnesota are scrappy. You got the team total. What is it, 83.5?
Yeah, 83.5.
Like, we're on pace. Like, what's the new team total?
That one. That's a good question. Let's
75.5.
Oof. I like that a lot better than 83.5. I'll tell you that. I think they get to 76.
You believe that going at 32? That's shocking.
Minnesota plays good defense, walk the ball up the court, but I think that would, second half, I kind of figured there'd be more points second half. Maybe the Minnesota team gets a little tired. Maybe Michigan extends the lead a little bit and ends up kind of getting into a groove a little bit more second half. So I would double down at the over 70. What did we say? It was 74.5.
What about the spread now? It's 15.5. So now it's sort of what it should have been before the game. And even that's high, but I think this is more reasonable. And it's the one thing I remember. We saw this against Northwestern a couple of weeks ago with Michigan. They were on the road that night. Remember, they were able to flick the switch, Scott. They were down by 12, and they ended up nearly covering, if you remember. They ended up winning by 12, but they were like 13-14 or whatever. Like, Michigan are capable of like a pool table, just sort of like flipping the table over. And next thing you know, you're like, damn, man, I can't believe we're down by 16 suddenly. Right? But do they have that run coming in? A little post letdown? That's the whole thing. I talk about that made-for-TV game. Yeah, it's all fun for ESPN ratings and everything, but Michigan were coming off a big game against Purdue, which was a bigger game, like a conference game, right? So you're coming off the game against Purdue. Now you got this sandwich spot here. You're getting thrown here, Minnesota. Minnesota are more jacked. That's my only concern with the Arizona game, that watching it now, the kids on Baylor are pretty fired up right now tonight. The kids in the crowd are fired up too because it's on TV.
My only thought was with Michigan, I thought they would come out flying, though. I did think there was some concern, like they're either going to go left or they're going to go right. It's not going to be a normal game. They're either going to be just whatever. It's Minnesota, or they're going to be pissed off that they lost to Duke and come out flying. So it's kind of more so that it's Minnesota will take care of business second half.
How about the Cavs and the Knicks? We often don't get the games that start earlier. Yeah, because they start earlier at Saturday, so we bet on the games. We give you pick 8 and 9 and stuff, so that's part of the early slate. But Cavaliers beating down the Knicks right now, 81-65, late third.
Knicks have some issues here. They've been in a little bit of a malaise for like 3 weeks. Not beating the good teams, get some lousy losses. They're down 81-65 tonight. I did like Cleveland laying 4 at home. I didn't think they would lose. I really did. Charlotte's beating the Bulls 71-63. Man, what happened? What? Listen, I love the Billy Donovan Florida Gator teams. I really did. Made a lot of money in those teams. But this guy has done nothing with the Chicago Bulls, and he gets a new contract every couple of years.
Well, they're playing management and ownership, bro. They're terrible.
I know. They're just awful. Just awful.
The White Sox,
So Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hatan, as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
The expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, you know, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid, midway through hour number 2. Put the baskets aside for a second. Let's talk some baseball, some hockey. Why not? With our good buddy Tom Vecchia, Sports Grid host, also host of Pro Baseball Today here on the grid. What's going on, Tom? How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. NHL is back tomorrow. Spring training is underway. World Baseball Classic is just over a week away. Like, it's a great time to be a sports fan. You know, we're coming up to March Madness. Like, everything's happening.
Yeah, really is.
Yep. Ton of stuff. Yeah, ton of stuff. One countdown after another. Like I said, March Madness 3 weeks away. The WBC a week and a half away. The NFL Draft 58 days away, 57 days away. Major League Baseball regular season. And then the playoffs, right? It's sort of, we're like about, the tournament and this and that, but boom, Stanley Cup, NBA playoffs really aren't all that far off, guys, too. Right?
Right.
And the World Cup of
before you know it, and then World Cup, right? World Cup in June into July.
Yeah. Next thing you know, NFL will be here. This is like, we've been spoiled over the last couple of years, actually. Just with sort of the off-season sports calendar is worked out with World Cups, Euro Cups, Olympics, etc. Next year will sort of be a rough one, and then 28 will just be all kinds of lit again. But so the Olympic hockey was lit. The question is, how is it going to translate moving forward? And you and I talked about it, Scott, a lot going into the break. If you're the Buffalo Sabres, the last thing you wanted is to shut things down. Pittsburgh Penguins are having a great year. Crosby comes home injured. LA Kings lose Fiala for the year. Right? 22 goals gone, right? Just like that. You know, Tom, the Kings struggle to score goals as it is. He scored 22 goals and boom, Fiala's gone. I know they made some moves, but like, it's an interesting dynamic coming out of the games right now, Tom.
It is. It really is. I got to say, it's not just coming out of the games because it's been 2.5 weeks. It's not like, an all-star break where these players have a long weekend and then they come back. So many of the players were gone. And then we're also leading up to the trade deadline on March 6th, next Friday. So teams are going to be easing off of things. They're going to be resting players. So this is a very interesting time for the NHL. I will say, over the next few days, I'm going to be taking things down when it comes to unit size. I'm going to be very cautious and very, kind of specific with the bets that I make. Seeing news that, Jack Eichel and Noah Hannafin aren't going to be playing for Vegas tomorrow is interesting. But Vegas is also waiting on Mitch Marner and Mark Stone and Shea Theodore. So when you have teams that have potentially 5 of their best players out of their lineup, I'm not making any moves, any bets until game time, because I need to see the pregame rushes. If we're going to be having third and fourth stringers that need to see power play time now, I don't want to have any involvement in that.
Yeah. How about the teams that had all the players? I mean, I would think these teams, Tom, would give those guys an extra couple of days off. They just played Sunday, right? They play Sunday. They're there for the closing ceremonies. They come home Monday morning. You know, they got a 1 day maybe, and then they got to hop on a plane and go fly.
The owners didn't get absolutely anything out of this, the NHL. The players have been gone. Like, it's going to burn them up if they're not, like, it'll be like, you got to be kidding me. You want to miss another game now? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it depends on the play.
The NBA. This isn't the NBA. Right.
But we know that, like, Hellebuck's not going to be starting. They already announced that Eric Comrie is going to be starting. Like, we know that it's going to be an extra day or two there for them. But this is a purely team-by-team, situation-by-situation basis. Like, you can't cast a blanket over everything. And, like, if you think of the Avs, obviously McKinnon, Makar, Taves, Marty Necas, Brock Nelson, Arturi Lehkonen, Yoel Kiviranta, like 6 players were gone on various countries. Like a third of their starting lineup had been playing extra games. If all of those players aren't going to be playing tomorrow at Utah, I might as well just take the plus money with Utah at home.
You know who's going to be fresh, guys, coming out of this? Russian players.
Right.
It's true. Play. Point blank.
Right. Yeah.
Ovi last year had a big pop after the Four Nations, Tom.
Or the snub players like Jason Robertson didn't make the USA. I'm going to be on Jason Robertson gold prop tomorrow.
Connor Bedard, bro, is going to be on a tear for the rest of the year. Like, just an absolute tear. He already, like, he got hurt. He came back and he started to light it up again. And this time he'll play for the World Championship team and stuff. He'll look to end strong. There'll be certain players to keep our eye on. You can't, like you said, though, Tom, and it was a good point. You can't generalize this stuff. Right. You know what I mean? Not everyone that came back is going to be slow, and not everybody that came back is going to be great or bad, etc. It's going to be hit or miss with certain players. What I'm fascinated by, I don't know what your take is, if there are 2 players that, if there's a guy on Team Canada that takes losing and winning, like, and in the NHL, the most serious guy in the NHL is Nate McKinnon.
Yep.
Like, so much so, like, the Avalanche had to tell him a couple of years ago to chill out, like, type thing. That he was scared, like, he freaked his teammates out all the time. Like, his intensity was cool, but it was too much type thing. Like, the guy is locked in, man. Like, all he cares about is hockey. He's going to be haunted. 99 times out of 100, he puts that puck in the net. He didn't. Right? Cale Makar got burnt on the winning goal by pinching. Okay? So, you got McKinnon going back on a plane together. Is there hell to pay? Because I got to tell you, I was like, I'm not buying the Avs. I don't like the President Cup trophy winner ever. Honestly, the Avs are almost like the Braves or something, like where they're always been really good. They only have 1 cup to show for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't actually win as much as people think they do. But McKinnon and Makar, man, both these dudes are going to have, like, you know, fire under their ass right now, Tom. Or are they going to be emotionally crushed moving forward? Is this, but Necas was amazing in the Olympics for the Czechia. So I think Colorado kind of got a spark out of this. And if I'm Colorado's coach, I say, screw the Olympics. We're here to win a Stanley Cup. And I think they could be scary again, this team.
Well, I will say, you know, Bednar's a great coach, so he's always going to have them ready to go. Nate's my favorite player in the NHL, so I'm totally on board that, like, he's a psycho, like, you know, Kobe mentality of, like, he's only there to win. He doesn't care about anything else. He's there to win. So if I were to do that, it would be alting him to something, alting to a shot prop, and it has to be plus money. I don't want to go to his normal 3.5 shot prop and lay minus 150 for that. He's going to try to get 5 or try to get 6. So I'll decrease the unit size and get plus money at it. So you're at least, you know, mitigating some of the risk by that. But he would be the one to come out and go on a 10-game point streak where he has like 18 points in 10 games.
Probably not for me any more fascinating team second half of the season is the Florida Panthers, 2-time defending champs. They're in last place, Tom. I think we talked about it over the weekend. Trade deadline, by the way, you know, the trade deadline resumes again. It's the following Friday. What was it, March 6th? They're in last place. Are they going to make a run? Are they a team that we say, okay, we're going to buy in and play on them every game, or stay away?
I'd be willing to buy in on them, especially as long as you're getting a decent price. Obviously, every bet's about the price. Are you getting a good price on this bet is the most important thing more often than not. If they're at home and they're laying $2, that's a no, right? If they're on the road and you're getting them close to even money, that's probably yes, obviously, given the circumstances, is Bob and net, those sorts of things. But I have confidence in the roster that they have. Seeing that Barkov is still not there and he's probably not going to be back is never a comforting thing. But knowing that they're willing to make moves is something that I want to buy into early, essentially, because we know that Seth Jones didn't play on Team USA. He was out. So if they're still missing pieces, they have to make moves to remedy that, knowing that Seth Jones may not be back, or knowing that Barkov may not be back at any point.
Plus 210 on FanDuel to make the playoffs. You buying in?
Give me 2.5 or closer to 3 in a week, and I would say yes.
8 points back, 25 left. Their no is minus 270. Wow.
It's a bit much. It's a bit much on the 270. I would honestly play it closer to 200 to not make the playoffs if it was at 2-1.
Yeah. That's one of those where if you had to choose one, give me the plus 210. I'll take my chances. Okay. They got a bunch of teams to overcome.
They're a prideful group. They're going to go on a little, they're not going to roll over. They're going to try.
Hold on the line, Tom. We'll get some baseball props out of you when we come back in Game Live.
So Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hudson, as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Gabe talk with SportsGrid host Tom Vecchio. How about a little baseball here, Tom? We were talking to Tariq Skubal and his plans for the World Baseball Classics. What are we doing with the Detroit Tigers this year?
So for the Tigers this year, I like them over 85.5 wins. And, they barely snuck over this number last year. That was in part due to a massive September collapse. And obviously the Guardians came surging back. They went, whatever, it was 20-2 to end the season. But, the Tigers getting Framber Valdez is a massive, massive improvement for their rotation. The way I like to describe pitchers is just calling them, number 1 and number 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it might be. And with the Tigers, you really have 2 number 1s, getting Valdez behind Tarek Skubal, which allows Jack Flaherty, who actually had a pretty good year last year. I know his surface level numbers don't look good, but when you maintain a 27 or 28% strikeout rate, you are still a quality pitcher. I'm going to say that Jack Flaherty got a little bit unlucky due to some of the fly balls and home runs that he gave up. And then you re-sign Verlander, and you still have Casey Mize at the back end. And those guys can be a number 4, while Jack Flaherty can be that 3. So you really do have 2 number 1s to kind of bolster the rotation overall. And the other guys can just play their part. And if Jack Flaherty can bounce back, he can be a borderline 2, which makes them that much better overall. So give me the Tigers this year.
Mm-hmm. Another team that I was on all last year until the very, very end. And that was the Texas Rangers. They just killed me last year. I thought they were going to be great. I really did. And you got a good year out of Jacob deGrom, and they still end up being a 500 team. What do we do with them?
So I like them over 81.5 this year as well. They had 81 wins last year. And again, making a move to bring in Mackenzie Gore in the offseason is great. Mackenzie Gore is that borderline 2 to 1, depending on how the rest of his career develops. He was maintaining a 30+% strikeout rate at times last year. With deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi, these guys have taken a little bit of a step back because of their age and the injuries. Now they're number 2s. The back end with Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, these guys can't be number 5. So if I'm buying into them, I am assessing that they will elevate themselves to borderline 3s, probably number 4-ish starters. So now we have a rotation that doesn't have a pure race, but doesn't also have pitchers that are terrible. So now we have a rotation of 2, 3, 4s, an entire rotation of them, and that brings us a lot of stability. The lineup, the hitting lineup is the thing that's going to push them over this because they got a little bit better. They lost Adolis Garcia with the power, but I think the stability comes from the pitching to start, and then the lineup will come along as the season goes on.
Who do you have ultimately winning it all?
I mean, I don't want to say the Dodgers, but I don't think that the season's going to go as smoothly for them as people anticipate. It's going to be a lot like last year, where they went through some really down periods when it came to July and August. And the division overall, I don't think it's going to be the same as it was last year. I'm low on the Padres and I'm high on the Giants this year. I think the Giants are going to be the second team to come out of the NL West. I think they will be that team. I think the Padres have too much name brand value, and they're not as actually good as the talent that they have. And the Giants made some decent moves in the offseason. I like the Braves in the NL East as a bet. I think there's too much talent on that team to be booked as the 3rd team in that. And the Mets didn't make enough improvements. And the Phillies are still a really good team, but they also didn't make enough improvements. The Braves, if they can stay healthy, they got unlucky last year. I'll take them. And the Central's just the Cubs. The Brewers were a complete facade last year. There was a mirage. They're not going to maintain that run differential when they added 0 talent, the Brewers did in the offseason, and they lost Freddie Peralta.
The Brewers are one franchise that defy logic, though, Tom, on a yearly basis.
It's true. It's true.
Best record in baseball last year. The best record in baseball. Yeah.
Exactly. Like they defy logic somehow. That team. I'm always looking for a low number. Like I'm always looking for last year I jumped in on the Angels. Right? I was like, you know what? This Angel team can get to 73, 74. It's kind of the same number this year, 70.5 again. But I'm not feeling it as much. I was at Minnesota actually. Minnesota at 72.
Minnesota's terrible. They're terrible. But I am completely out on the Twins.
The injuries
they just lost the race.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Only bad things can happen, moving forward for them.
Cleveland's the one, Gabe. Cleveland's the one that's always underappreciated.
Yeah, but low numbers where they go over all the time. I bet against Cleveland under, or I'm done with it. I'm done with it.
Yeah,
I don't care who's on their team or who they lost.
I know.
Yeah, I would say the teams that I have interest in, these mid-tier teams, would be the Giants, the Royals, and the Rangers, the ones that are standing out to me. Those are the teams I'd like to at least as of now, to go over their win totals. They're in the lower to mid 80s, which gives them enough breathing room. A team like
The Athletics are interesting, I think.
The Athletics are interesting.
They
play
have
an awesome lineup.
Their
lineup is awesome. Yeah, so the issue is that they're going to win games 9-7 and they're going to lose games 9-7. That's what it comes down to. Like their top four may be legitimately some of the best hitters in baseball and are vastly underappreciated. When you have Nick Kurtz there and you have Lawrence Butler getting on base and Jacob Wilson's batting .330 and Brent Rooker and Shea Langeliers, like that is an amazing lineup. Their pitching is terrible. So they will win and lose games 9-7, 8-5, whatever it might be.
Now, they might be more settled in now. Like last year was the first year in that stadium. I mean, they had, it was a train wreck. Let's call it out for what it is. So we'll see. Hopefully they fix the amenities a little bit to make it give a little bit more of a bigger feel. It was bad, like when one of the kids on the Athletics made his Major League Baseball debut and Lawrence Butler said after the game, he goes, it really wasn't his Major League Baseball debut. That'll be when we're on the road. That's not good. He said, no, it's a minor league stadium. He goes, it'll be his real game when we go on the road this week. Right? Like, hopefully, but now that they're there for another year, maybe they'll get a little settled in. But 75.5 is manageable. Last year, the Athletics were voted the most likely team to break out by other Major League Baseball players in, like, the Baseball Bowl.
Really?
Like, players said, all right, who's the up-and-coming team that won't surprise you if they made the playoffs? And everybody said the Athletics. But I think the year one was a little rough for them. Like I said, they have a hell of an offense. Well, we'll put it that way. They are going to score runs.
Yeah, a lot of runs from them. The pitching needs help, but they gotta match their way to wins.
Tom, great job as always. Tom Vecchio, Sports Grid host right here on the grid. Thanks, Tom. We'll do it again soon.
Of course.
So Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is dating a woman that is 50 years younger than him.
Yes.
Okay? Jordan Hazard, as you know, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it's disgusting. And it's sick.
Yeah.
And no joke, where like when Bill Belichick was like 60 years old, she was in nursery school.
The Craig Carden Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Expectations were big for this team coming into this season. They've struggled to live up to them. When you think about the 4 losses for Purdue, they've really felt ugly. Iowa State smashed this team in their building. They dropped the game to UCLA and followed it up by losing at home to Illinois.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But the ABS system is in play. Happen on the head this year to sort of challenge these calls. And, I wonder if it affects your thinking at all in dynamics of betting or anything else.
It does, and immediately my mind goes to probably the opposite ends of the spectrum, where one would be, in one scenario, pitchers are getting out of innings quicker because we're actually seeing pitches that actually should be strikes, and those are going to be called strikes and strikeouts.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the Grid. Final segment. Thanks again, Tom Vecchio, for joining us. Last check of the scoreboard here. Scoring, I don't want to jinx it, but scoring has picked up in this Michigan-Minnesota game, Gabe. 47-39. They got 26 points in the first 6 minutes of this. Oh, check that, 47-22. So they now have 29 points in the first 6 minutes of the second half. So keep our fingers crossed.
I said it.
Baylor's still leading Arizona, too. Go ahead.
Michigan are capable of just sort of like, all right, now we're going to start scoring and pick up the tempo. So let's hope that continues. We gave you the over in Southern Miss and Arkansas State in the opening pickoff. It was 158.5. It's 53-44 at the half. So think about it. They've scored 97 points in the first. In-game total is 183.5 right now. And not a shocker. They scored 179 the last time they played, like 2 weeks ago. And they gave us a 158.5 tonight. We had a 20-point little window to work with, and it's sort of on pace right now. The Oklahoma-Auburn game is also a track meet, and give credit, Oklahoma are hitting their shots tonight. I was thinking of playing both sides of Auburn and the over here. It was like 156. It's 176.5 right now. 46-38 Oklahoma with a minute and a half left in the first half.
Gave out Bradley plus 3.5. They're down 3 against UIC with 35 seconds left. So we're going to have to sweat that one out, down to the bullet. San Jose leads Air Force 42-37 at the half. We gave out the over in that one. That's up to 156.5, which is a good 10 to 12 points higher than what it was to start the game. So that one's looking halfway decent. Got to bring it up here, Gabe. We haven't talked since the Olympics. With the USA winning against Canada and everything else. And a lot has been made about all the stuff that the Canadians said and this and that. And I tell you, it's one of the worst forms of journalism. And I used to do this stuff when I was younger, but somewhere along the line, I realized, you got to be fair about this stuff. With the John Cooper comments about the 3-on-3 and people here in the States.
That was taken out of context.
Oh,
in which
Gabe,
they took half.
Yeah,
they only took half of the sentence.
He actually said, "I'm not complaining about it." They eliminated what he was.
Yeah, but I'm not going to lie. I saw you reposted it saying you lost respect for John Cooper after that. Yeah, but that's why.
You know what? That's why I wanted to bring it up.
In the modern era, you got to click the actual story and read like, did he really say that? Or like, did he say something else? Because, he basically said, I'm not saying this is why we lost. He didn't like what he said, but he also didn't like the 3-on-3 earlier in the week. Right. He said, I think this is ridiculous that it's 3-on-3. He said it after the first overtime game, right? And people took it out of context after. Same thing with Nate McKinnon. There was the quote with McKinnon, I'm sure you saw. Did the better team
really
you be the judge of that? Okay, everyone took that part. There was another part where he said, but they won. Everyone left that part out.
Yeah.
Right? People
really?
left that part out after.
The Cooper thing, because I did. As soon as I saw it, I retweeted like, boy, he's been such a class guy. For him to be whining about that, and as I hit the retweet, right? And then I watched it, and I was like, wow, this guy was taken out of context so badly. Just the worst form of journalism. That wasn't his point at all. He was like mid-thought. It wasn't even like taken out of context to the point where he said this. But he was saying, but that's not why we lost. And I'm not complaining about it. He even said that. That was just awful. But anyway, good USA win.
That's what they do.
They won. So, yeah, that's what they do. It's all clickbait, man.
That's what they do. They twist it. Listen, it was a hell of a game, right? And Connor Hellebuck, it's ironic that Connor Hellebuck breaks the hearts of so many Winnipeg Jet fans and are Team Canada fans by doing what he did there, what he can't do for them in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like that was like, hey, that was a hell of a performance. That was literally one of the best goaltending performances ever by Connor Hellebuck. He's they won. Let's call it out for what it is, right? Hellebuck stood on his head. Great performance by Hellebuck. And it's funny, too, because there was so much talk about Binnington being somewhat of a concern. And if I was a contender, Scott, moving forward, I would trade for Binnington.
That's what I was going to bring up the top,
It's pretty clear. Like, if he's playing in a real game, he'll be fine. With the Blues, it's lost. Like, whatever. He won a cup with the Blues. It was years ago. He's clearly just like sort of, this isn't working. if I'm them, just do it. Pull the trigger. I don't know why they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, if I was like a contending team that needed a goaltender, I'd be like, listen, we just saw him in the Olympics. We just saw him in the Four Nations. When it's on the line and he's a good team, he's still good.
Yeah, clearly. Game it out. Be back tomorrow night, right here on the grid, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. Have yourselves a great rest of your Tuesday night.